Alabama not in the college football playoff. We're going to talk about that. We'll get Jake's reaction to all of that here on Elephant in the Room. What life's going to look like for the Crimson Tide this offseason. And does strength of schedule matter? Or should Bama maybe switch and become an independent? I want to get this guy's opinion on all this stuff right here, brought to you by mybookie.ag. Make sure that you are part of what we're doing here. And, hey, mybookie.ag, the perfect thing to get you through the holidays. All right, let me hit this man's music. All right, yesterday it was announced Bama was the first team out. They took SMU over the Crimson Tide. They set the playoff field. What was Jake Coker's reaction to that news?
I mean, I kind of saw it coming after I saw, the game-winning field goal by Clemson and the way that, Sean McDonough was talking about it on TV. It was a total joke. And then you got, I love Dabo Swinney, but what he said after that game, he's like, oh, man, this team, they deserve to be in the playoff. I'm like, dude, you don't even deserve to be in the playoff, and you're sitting here trying to tell us that the team you just beat deserves to be in the playoff? I mean, it's hard to – look, we didn't deserve it. It's kind of a – the Oklahoma game was an indicative of the entire year. We just weren't focused when we needed to be focused. Didn't put that game. Obviously, we didn't put that game at as high a level as importance as we do the Georgia games and the other big games we played this year. And hopefully those young guys learn from that. You lose 3 games, you can't really argue that you should be in. Yet, when you look at everything on paper, SMU has no business being in there. They've got no shot of winning a national championship. Haven't proven they can beat anybody that's in the top 5, let alone even the top 25.
Right.
So, it's hard to watch the committee put these teams in. And I think the Florida State deal last year really put a lot of pressure on them, even though, Alabama was the second best team. You watch the playoff last year. We really should beat Michigan if we don't have all those mishaps and self-inflicted bad plays. But I think Herb Street had enough of FSU Twitter. I think he made that pretty evident in his interviews last week. I think they just felt like they needed to do what they were pressured into doing. And even as crazy as it sounds, I think that broadcast and what Sean McDonough said and what Dabo said after the game, I think it influenced him a little bit as well.
Yeah, well, maybe part of that, but I think part of it too is that the SEC made a bad decision, Jake. They should have never got into this deal. They didn't need this. We didn't need a college football playoff. We didn't need to pretend that, SMU and Boise State needed a first-round bye. The conference champions automatically getting in, it's not equal. The SEC champion, the SEC runner-up, and 8 other teams could win all these other conferences, even the powerful Big Ten. Come on, man. The Big Ten's got some good teams at the top. I like Ohio State better than I like Oregon. But come on, man. Like the bottom, you get past Penn State and all those other teams are so beatable. Even Indiana, who didn't beat anybody all year. And this just feels like all of those nerds that get together and want a reason to keep Alabama out and Ole Miss and South Carolina. The SEC, Jake, I'm pretty fired up about this, but the SEC could literally, and I mean this, put a better 12-game playoff together than this crap that we're getting pushed down our throat this year. It's not just about Alabama being out. Look at some of these teams. They haven't beaten a damn soul all year.
Well, I'm not really even excited about watching. The only game that I look at and I'm like, man, I'm excited about seeing that is Tennessee and Ohio State. And that's really the only one that I
Right.
see that gets me excited to watch. When
Yeah.
I thought the entire year that this 12-team playoff would be interesting and vibrant and just like the best thing ever, best sporting event ever on turf, and you've got a bunch of teams that haven't proven themselves, and basically you find out, in the playoff, not during the regular season, if these teams can play or not.
Mm-hmm. Well, well, how about all of the first round games, because you took SMU over Alabama, are all like 8-point plus spreads. If you put Bama at Penn State, it's probably even, right?
Bama's to me, Bama may even be favored in that game.
Yeah. Well, how about the TV executives? You guys got absolutely screwed in this deal too. I'm sure you're back there going, please don't take SMU. Nobody watches them. They were the most unwatched team in the SEC, in the ACC. And then everybody watched them for one game. Oh, because they're playing to see if Alabama gets in or not. Clemson doesn't deserve to get in either. The automatic bid bull crap is so stupid.
I was about to say the automatic bid is what has ruined this. If you look, I've seen a few playoff forecasts if it weren't for automatic bids, and man, now that playoff, it's got Alabama, Clemson, South Carolina. Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Indiana's still in. It's Arizona State's still in there. It's the way I think that it was meant to be. The automatic bids, though, it just drives me crazy. And Rhett Lashley went on his political rant prior to that game about about purposely avoiding these conference championships games. The conference championship, to me, was an ultimatum for the lesser conferences.
Right.
So, if you've got two teams who basically, Clemson has played a few teams, Georgia, South Carolina, and they've lost to both of them. SMU had played
Hold on. Let me just correct something. They got their ass whooped by Georgia.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jake. Let's pick it up from there.
SMU has played nobody.
Oh, wait. Hold on, Jake. Bama played Georgia too, right? Okay. Yeah, let's keep going.
And so, SMU plays no. BYU. You can say whatever you want. BYU's. They may be over 500 in the SEC. I'm not sure. They're not having that record in the SEC. And again, you got Dabo saying they're in when they lost to a team that doesn't even belong in the playoff.
Yeah.
What are we even talking about here?
Man,
but again, I say all that. We should have taken care of business. At least against Vandy or Oklahoma. I'm not saying both of them, but my gosh, one of them you got to beat.
Hold on. What's Texas's best win?
Yeah, but they didn't screw it up like we did.
Well, I know they beat Vanderbilt, but it's like that and Texas A&M are their two best wins. Texas A&M ended up not even being in the top 25 or something. I don't know. Like Texas doesn't have any really quality wins. You play a tough schedule. We thought that this college football playoff was about playing a tough schedule and you could have some losses, but it's not. It's about trying to hide from competition.
Well, and then, Texas is not, to me. Again, I'm not all bought in on Texas yet. They're still not an SEC team yet, in my opinion. Look, they did have an easy schedule this year.
So let me say this. Let me just clarify for all those that listen at home. What he's saying is they're a pledge. Like I was a pledge at the KA house and I had to go through all of the stuff you go through and then you get initiated. So we still haven't lined them up yet.
Yeah. No. You look, so in terms of the SEC, it is kind of true though. Because in terms of SEC play, Texas had an easier schedule than just about anybody. And then you watch them play in that SEC championship. You see Georgia. I mean, Georgia loses their starter, their first round quarterback. They come in the second half, bring this backup in, who, I think he's a good player. Whatever the circuit, whatever you want to say about him, played his ass off, tough as hell. That team was just grinding it out in that second half.
Yeah.
You could tell it was a championship mentality type team. Guy goes down and they are fired up, coming out there, ready to play. Don't even let it affect them. Score opening drive of the second half. Texas is playing against Georgia with their backup quarterback in, with Georgia's backup quarterback in, and they can't figure it out. Georgia is just built to win no matter what. The culture there is different. The style of play there is different. Physical as hell, just making up for any shorthandedness in that game due to having Carson Beck out. To me, Texas just didn't have the mentality that Georgia has. Again, the coaching staff for Georgia, Mike Bobo, did a great job figuring it out in that second half. Really mixing things up. But at the same time, that O-line was physical. They were running the ball physically. That quarterback comes in, man, taking shots, getting drilled, getting back up. It was awesome to see Georgia come out and play that way. And to me, it just further proved that Texas isn't there yet.
Oh, you know what? It was a good game. It was really sad to see Beck get hurt, but he came back in one-armed and handed it off. Like, what did they think he was going to do? Like, they think he was going to throw the ball because he couldn't pick his arm up. Like, they handed up. I was pulling for Georgia for the same reason, man. You're not coming in playing. You got lucky with the schedule, kind of fell your way. And I get it. Matthew McConaughey's there, and he's got his cowboy hat on and his sunglasses, and everybody likes Matthew McConaughey. I like him. We all like him, but not the first year, buddy. We'll see if you guys are back. The shame of it, really.
Are you making fun of his last name, or is that the way you pronounce it?
What do you mean, McConaughey?
McConaughey?
Oh, is it McConaughey?
It's McConaughey.
Oh, it's McConaughey? Oh, I didn't know.
Or at least I thought so.
Yeah.
I guess that's what everybody in South Alabama calls them. I don't know.
Okay, my bad. McConaughey. But I like having him in there, but the conference is a lot tougher. I'm wondering, Jake, if Alabama's not better off jumping out of the SEC. Brand's big enough. Do the Notre Dame thing. You get into the college football playoff every year. Go and play like 2 or 3 tough games. The rest of them will play Army, we'll play Navy. We'll go and we'll play like Northern Illinois. We'll put I don't know, maybe Duke on the schedule every once in a while, and then just wear everybody's ass out. And then, at the end of the thing, we'll be 12-0, and then we'll just go into the college football playoff because playing this SEC schedule when you're going to be punished for look, I know you lost to Vandy, but it's a physical game you play against Georgia before that. You lost at Tennessee. Guess what? Tennessee's a top 10 team, right? Oklahoma, absolute lack of discipline. Jalen Milroe and the entire team, coaches too. Everybody not ready to go, right? But they bounced back and they beat Auburn. And even with that loss, it's still at Oklahoma, okay? If SMU goes to Oklahoma and beats them, it's a signature win, not just this year, in the damn history of their program. Going back to when they were paying players and getting busted for it. That's a big win for them. It's still Oklahoma. So, was Alabama ready for that game? Is this an up year for Oklahoma? No, but let's stop pretending. You're letting in a team that basically did not play anybody. And the teams that they did play, they lost. Well, because they made it close, we just let them in. Oh, well, you know what? They're good.
No, I think internally, if you're a player at Alabama, you got to look at the loss to Oklahoma, the loss to Vandy, and you got to realize that, look, this is our fault. We blew it by even allowing a conversation to happen.
I know.
We blew it, and there's no excuse for that. You know, I mean, and look, this is Coach DeBoer's first year, and he's, you know, he is piecing together a roster, you know, with a very little time, and I think he did a really good job. I really do. But the lack of focus there, I mean, you know, we used to always say, or not we, but, you know, I feel like the outside voice or the public opinion was, you know, a Coach Saban team that loses once is the most dangerous team in America, because there was a focus each week that this is it. This is your, you know, this is your final opportunity every Saturday from here on out. Otherwise, you're done. And so I hate to see freaking Texan over there.
No, I'm not. I'm listening. I'm doing research.
Drives me nuts.
Just keep going. I'm going to do this to you. You do that. I'm going to do that right there.
I mean,
you get distracted too easily.
No, I can't stand when people are texting. It drives me crazy.
I'm not texting. I'm trying to find
if you're not texting, then I don't even want to know what you're doing looking down like
that. I'm doing some stat research here. I'm just doing some research over here. That's all.
No, but it's just painful to watch. It's painful to watch the lack of focus when the season's on the line. How you get beat by Oklahoma 24-3?
Can you believe it though? I was so like, I hate to say this because I guess looking back now, I should have realized that I was so far off, but I really thought like money talks and bullshit walks, and they picked the bullshit over the money. Like you just don't see that a whole lot. Like the TV revenue from Bama being in there, Bama has a much better chance of running the table, of knocking off some teams. They're a pain in everybody's ass. This SMU team's going to go and lose, and it's going to be like a fantastic season for a team that's finally in the Power Four, you know, instead of like putting in the team that's got the better players, that played the tough schedule, that has the brand. And I just, my dad always used to say that, and this time I just don't believe that. I think this is totally politics, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I mean, the team that got screwed the worst in all this is Oregon.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
The seating arrangement.
Oh, dude, how does the whole tournament to me is absolutely asinine. Like, how is Boise State? They lost to Oregon. That's their signature win. You didn't have to turn the lights off. I'm sorry that I looked at the. I'm sorry I looked at my phone for a second. You know,
you say, hey man,
you have to turn the lights off while I'm talking, pal.
Hey, you said Boise got the first round bye, and I was like, I'm out of here. I'm tired of this shit.
Boise lost to Oregon. Hey, but I'm going to tell you something, man. You talk about playing some real football. They beat UNLV. Hey, and then Arizona State, like they've got what's left of that conference that they were in, right? Aren't they? Didn't they go to the Big Ten? Like it's like the Misfit Toys from that Christmas movie, and or Christmas cartoon, and they survived it. I mean, I like watching them. The running back cracks me up. It reminds me of Merrill Hodge. You know, the big, thick white guy that they just hand the ball off to and he bounces off of people. Like, he's fun to watch. But, I mean, come on, dude. To get a bye? I mean, come on, man. Like, no way. No freaking way. And then when you start seeding this, how in the hell is SMU not playing Texas? Like, they beat Clemson. I mean, Clemson beat them. There's no way that they're seated higher than Clemson. But you know what? We've got to placate to Texas, just like the reason that the Big 12 went out of business is because everybody always play. SMU should be playing Texas, just like Indiana's playing Notre Dame. You know, they got to fly up to Happy Valley. I mean, give me a break, man. The whole thing is just complete crap.
Yeah, and the worst part about it is the deeper you get into the playoff, it's almost like the second round is going to be worse than the first round. Boise State, Arizona State. I mean, those guys getting buys, and they might be playing. I can't remember how the seeding is in their pool, but I mean, they're probably just going to get blown out in the second round. Just going to be,
What are you more excited about? ASU's ass whooping or Boise's ass whooping? We're going to run the Statue of Liberty as the team with a bye. I mean, come on, man. Come on. But you know what? I blame this on the SEC and their commissioner because, brother, you should have seen this coming. Why are you agreeing to this college football playoff with these crappy leagues getting automatic, automatic bids because they win their terrible conference? Their conference is our 7th or 8th team would win that. Ole Miss, you put them in there, they're going undefeated. Bama, undefeated. Kentucky probably wins their conference. I mean, for real, man. You put them down there and they're playing all these teams week after week. Come on. I mean, it's unbelievable. And we got Boise State in the first round and skipping the first round to the second round, right? Texas doesn't beat anybody, and they're hosting a game, and then they're also dictating who they play. Not only are they hosting, they get to say, hey, you know what? SMU, we just don't feel real comfortable about playing them. No, play SMU. Since SMU's so damn good that you got to have them in this tournament, send them right up there to Austin so that those guys are so motivated to shove it up your ass that they're playing like they're on fire, Jake. I'm irritated, man.
You're on fire today.
I am, man. I couldn't believe it. Be glad you didn't see me yesterday.
I just knew. I just had a feeling. I didn't even watch it. I didn't want to see it. I wanted nothing to do with it.
It's shameful.
Yeah, I just knew it was coming.
Not me. Not me.
I've lost. Really the only game, again, like I said, the only game I really have circled is that Ohio State-Tennessee game.
Well, you know what? I know it's rough, but I don't have a blue Alabama jacket to wear, for times like this.
Yes.
Looking good though, man. Looking good. I feel like you're on a recruiting stop. That's like coach wear right there.
I need to be.
Could you recruit? I mean, you used to be, you're really honest. So, I mean,
no, I need to be. Actually, I need to, I think I've mentioned this in previous podcasts. I need to be on a disinformation team that negatively recruits for other schools.
I love the idea. All right, so let me ask you this: how fired up are you about the Outback Bowl that we're playing in against Michigan?
Yeah, I know you're upset about that. You're excited about the Cheez-Its.
We could have gone here. I'll applaud us because I bet you we had to pick, and we were probably like, man, first off, don't send us to the damn Cheez-It Bowl.
Cheez-It got to pick. They got the first pick. They got the first SEC pick. So,
well, it's a much better. None of us want to go to the Cheez-It Bowl.
Well, we don't want to go. South Carolina playing?
They're playing Illinois.
Yeah, that's right.
Who wants to see that?
South Carolina. Well, if you're the Cheez-It Bowl, South Carolina fans are going to travel for that. I mean, they're better than they've been in years. I mean, fans are excited. They want to see that team.
I was ready to see you eat those hot and spicy Cheez-Its.
Well, hell,
just bring them over there.
Come by tomorrow. I'll be eating them around lunchtime.
Eating them tomorrow? Okay. Well, that was one choice. And then the second one, which would have been really great, would have been playing Duke in the Gator Bowl. And that would have been an easier bowl game for me because, and you too. I mean, we could have just jumped on 10 right there. Easy ride.
Yeah, I'll if we were playing Duke in whatever bowl you just mentioned, I'd probably just be in the woods and I'd check the score on Twitter.
Okay. All right. But you know what? You don't have to worry about that. The ReliQuest Bowl in Tampa, which is always going to be the Outback Bowl to me.
I will watch us play Michigan, though.
Me too. I look, of the matchups, it's probably the best one. Michigan, this will be the third time we've played them. in, the last 5-6 years. They got good uniforms. They beat Ohio State. I'm guessing by then we're going to have some opt-outs. I expect Jalen Milroe to opt out. I mean, that's nothing that I've heard. I just figure that, if you're Alabama, you want to get some experience for your other guys. This bowl game's absolutely meaningless. And then the other thing to me, well, first let me stop there because I got something else I want to bring up. But I do want your opinion as a former quarterback. I mean, what do you think about opting out? Like, I mean, you think that that's a good move for Milroe? And then if you were Ty Simpson and the rest of the guys, would you want that opportunity?
I mean, as a backup, you'd always want that opportunity to play, but I think the opt-out's a terrible precedent.
You do?
I think it's awful. Yeah. I think you stick it out with your team while you're there. I mean, you committed to the program. Alabama's done a lot for all those players. So I think you owe it to them to, if there's ever a game to be played, you need to be in there. I mean, look, that's an old school thought process, I guess, but I think it's the right thing to do.
Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, and look, I wouldn't mind that either. Go in there and win the game, get your 10 wins. Send the pro. But I mean,
the
bowl game. What's that?
Do you disagree with that?
Well, I mean, I think these bowl games are. I loved them, dude. Like as a kid growing up, and when I got to Alabama, and I got to go to the bowl games, I went to a ton of them as a fan, as a media member. I've been to 1 million Bama bowl games, 3 times down to Shreveport. I've been to and I've seen some other teams in bowl games, but I've been to the Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl multiple times. I've been to the Orlando one. I've been to this one in Tampa before. Been to the Gator Bowl, not with Bama. I've been to Miami, to the Orange Bowl, to say that. The Fiesta. I mean, I've been to all of them, man. I like them. But now with the college football playoff, you go for Bama, you go from getting screwed by this committee and their stupid politics, and from going to play Penn State in what would have been the marquee game of the weekend to going and playing 7-5 Michigan in a game that's absolutely meaningless. And now I'm to the point where I wanted to defend the regular season, the college football regular season. Like I was big on, hey, we got to defend the regular season of college football. We got to fight for it. It's important, blah, 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 blah. To now where I'm like, there's an F word I want to use, the regular season, and make the playoff big enough where it includes all these bowl games that nobody cares about. Not all of a sudden you care about them, because the problem I have is if you're going to let all of these, I call it participation trophy teams in, you're like, hey, we're playing football too. Like, okay, like what you're doing at Boise, what you're doing at Arizona State, it's not the same as what they're doing in the SEC. But you know what? To this committee it is. So if you're going to let all the participation teams in, then you got to let in Alabama. You got to let in Miami. You got to let in Ole Miss and South Carolina. And I would rather have one too many teams in than have this situation where you got 5 teams that I count that are totally undeserving, and you've let out teams that have gone and played against elite competition that have top-notch wins. And when you play good competition, you don't win every game. It's not about being perfect anymore. We wanted better competition. These leagues didn't do that. We did. And our commissioner signed off on this. And now look at the spot we're in. We were better off with 4 teams or 2 teams than we were with 12.
I mean, to me, in the SEC, you can't really get around it. I mean, you're going to play a lot of physical teams throughout the year, whether you have a hard out of conference schedule or not. I mean, look, it's not like we played a bunch of world beaters out of conference this year.
Was at Wisconsin.
Well, I mean,
you know what? I mean, believe it or not,
not a whole lot of world beaters, though.
But look, man, I get it. But they, at Wisconsin is a decent non-conference game. The Mercer Bears, the 9-1.
That would be a tough game for Boise State or SMU.
Yeah, right.
That would be a tough game for them. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it through a different lens, I guess, just being Alabama. But
so I mean,
at the end of the day, the SEC is just, that conference schedule is so hard that, and again, even when you're not playing the ranked teams, that's what they don't understand. None of these guys from out of conference understand that have never coached in the SEC. I mean, again, been around a lot of coaches in my day. Lane said the same thing last week. It is literally like a different league. It's just, and it's not just the players. It's the atmosphere. It's the culture. It's everything about it. It's just a totally different level of intensity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, because every game is tough,
when I was getting recruited to Florida State, one of the things that I wanted to do out of high school was play in the SEC. And that was one thing I struggled with. And I remember Jimbo said, well, the good thing about here is I can recruit with the Alabamas, the LSUs, the Floridas, and I don't have to play them every year.
Yeah, right.
It's like, we can recruit on the SEC level, but don't have to be in the SEC. But Florida State, you look at this year and you think, man, the ACC really benefited from the 12-team playoff. Obviously, neither one of those teams belong. With the 4-team playoff, you just said FSU belongs in the SEC, but now you look at it like, with these parameters, you need to stay in the ACC or the Big 12 or the Pac-12.
What's the benefit of playing in the SEC? Why should Alabama not be an independent? You want to win the conference championship? You want to play in that game?
That's another. Chalk that up. Tally that up for another reason why I hate Notre Dame. How they get away with what they get away with and the leverage they have just blows my mind. Time for the SEC to start using the same leverage that Notre Dame does.
Right.
Because they're not afraid to pull their weight around. And they may be big. They have a big brand, but they're not good enough, especially in the last, 20, 30 years, to be able to bully their way around college football the way they do.
Yeah.
Yep. When's the last time you saw Notre Dame show up and play? Of course, look, they beat Texas A&M at Texas A&M this year, but that's really the last time in recent memory I can remember them actually showing up and winning a game in prime time against an SEC team or a team that you thought they wouldn't be able to beat.
Right. Some opt-outs, or not opt-outs, but some transfers from Alabama. Have you seen the list? Let me run through it for you. And you guys can check it out on covercrimson.com. Clint Lamb keeps it updated, and we'll continue to keep it updated. So covercrimson.com, check it out. Jaheim Otis, Canoe Coat, Jaleel Hurley, you remember those guys. Kobe Prentice, though, Caleb Odom, Miles McVay.
Surprised Kobe Prentice jumped in there.
Kendrick Law, Danny Lewis, and
Kendrick Law.
Yeah, and Hunter Osborne is the newest guy. But this is what's going to happen. You're going to have a lot of guys transfer. Danny Lewis was the one that Clint felt like was obviously the one to him that was surprising. Hey, guys, let me tell you this, though. While you're hanging out with us, make the holidays a little more fun. Take advantage of our discount at mybookie.ag. 300% deposit bonus for the casino, 50 free spins using the promo code next round. Take advantage of it, mybookie.ag. Yeah, so there's the list, and it's going to keep getting bigger. But I want to say this to you. I feel like Bama's going to end up with a net negative or net positive when this is all said and done, because I think DeBoer will bring in players that he wants. And just looking back at how he did in the transfer portal in that small window last year, he did really well. When you talk about Parker Brailsford and Jeremy Bernard, you start looking through and
look, man, he had a short period of time to work with last year too.
Yeah.
Now he's got a full recruiting cycle. Kind of. And now he's got all this time to build his own squad. I think he's really going to put together something special, and I think he's going to do well this next year. But really, in that third year, I think is when you're going to see him separate himself.
Yeah. So that's the other thing we'll be keeping an eye on, and then basketball. Creighton Saturday, Coleman Coliseum. Are you ready to switch gears and start thinking a little bit of hoops?
I've switched gears. Ready to go. I'm excited about watching Michigan. I am. I mean, it'll be fun to see that. And
oh, come on.
So I guess Kendrick Law's not playing the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
So all these guys who've entered the transfer portal are done for the year.
I guess. I mean, he was a receiver.
Man, this transfer portal stuff, it just lack of a better, it just I guess it's annoying as hell. I mean,
there's no stopping it.
Yeah. All right. See y'all.
I mean, really.
I mean, I wonder what the reasoning for Kobe Prentice and Kendrick Law to get out of here was.
I don't know. Who knows? I mean, they weren't getting open and catching any passes. Law was blocking all the time. I mean, when you're good, you make plays, right? When you're not, you make excuses. And that's just the bottom line, man. I mean, like you just the way the games always work. That's every game I've ever played, and those guys were like there was a lot of hype, but not a lot of production. So who knows? Probably feel like they weren't targeted enough, or they weren't this, or they weren't that. Prentice, we're going to remember him. He caught one ball, and then the next play decided not to block and allowed an interception that went for 6 the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Kendrick Law had a disappointing year for me. I mean, I thought he was going to do really well, especially after the way he started. I felt like he showed some signs early in the year that he was going to be a playmaker, and I just never felt like it came to fruition. And then the Tennessee game, my gosh, that was awful.
Yeah, terrible. All right, well, another show in the books. A little fiery today after yesterday's letdown. And now the worst part about it is that this college football playoff, like they couldn't have done a worse job of putting this thing together. And it's like there's what could have been, man. You know what I mean? What could have been.
Oh,
like
it could have
the
been
hopes
awesome.
that we had. And what we get a pile of steaming hot shit. This fired, Taco Bell diarrhea.
Oh,
I know. I hate to say that to you. Everybody at home just ignore that. But I just can't, honestly, I just can't even believe it.
We ought to have the best 4 from the SEC play the best 4 from the Big Ten, and then after that,
dude,
you just take the next 4 from whatever other conferences. Another committee can pick those, and then you have an 8-team playoff.
You could literally put a better tournament together, and I'm not even kidding. I'm being serious, with the SEC's best 12 teams. More interesting. I mean, think about it. And it would be a harder tournament to win than this.
If you took the SEC and just threw Oregon, Ohio State in there,
you don't even need them.
Compared
to what they're putting out there with Arizona State and Boise getting buys and Indiana and SMU and I mean even Notre Dame. I mean, come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's disappointing to say the least.
It's awful. It's awful. Like
they're not going to get, man. I think they're going to be devastated by the ratings they get.
I hope that
and look, man, to a certain degree, I mean, there's some one-off teams in the past that have been really good that maybe didn't get a fair shake.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, that everybody knows who the best teams are. Boise's got 0% chance of winning. SMU's got 0 chance. Indiana's got 0 chance. Arizona State has 0 chance.
Right.
I mean, you've never even seen a glimpse of them.
But it makes you feel good, doesn't it? Does it make you feel real warm and fuzzy that you gave away this year's participation trophy? Right? I mean, really, like, doesn't it make you feel great?
I mean,
finally, we got Indiana into the playoff.
I thought we learned our lesson with the TCU.
Oh, we have
experiment.
We have it. We have it. Come on, man. We have
I mean, they would have been much better off in the Outback Bowl.
Come on.
Than the playoff.
But our commissioner, Greg Sankey, between your crappy officials and you signing off on this, shame on you, buddy. You shame on you for falling for this trap, for this crap. Get automatic bids for these conferences that all the good teams left. There's only 2 conferences now. Really. There's only 2. And to think that not only did you sign off on it, we got them having buys. Like that's what the good teams get. That's what that's what the Kansas City Chiefs are going to get a buy because they have Patrick Mahomes and they have Travis Kelce and they have Taylor Swift and they've lost 1 game all year and they're going to get a buy and they deserve it. They also won 3 or 4 Super Bowls, 3, right? But Boise State, their claim to fame is they lost a close game to Oregon. But what I'm finding out about this committee is that it's better to lose a close game against a good team than beat a good team.
And by good team, you mean the team that went 0-2 against the SEC this year?
I'm talking about the teams that have the numbers next to their names. The single-digit numbers. Beating them. Not the 20s.
Or just playing them.
Yeah, or just playing them. Yeah.
or just showing up.
Yeah, just showing up. Right. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be.
I know these schedules are made way in advance, but it's just, the conference you're in, the ACC has no business having 2 teams in.
Oh, I know. Hey, you know what though? Let's feel good about giving Notre Dame the easiest road so that we can all pretend Notre Dame's still Notre Dame.
Oh, I think they did that on purpose.
Oh, come on, dude. You know they did. Notre Dame is like
they had to save the ratings somehow.
No, right. Notre Dame is that team that the writers love because they remember when Notre Dame used to be good. They heard about it from somebody. I like the theme song. Look at their golden helmets.
Yeah, it was something your grandfather told you about.
That's right. Once in a while, we're going to wear the Kelly green. Watch out. All right. Final thoughts. Look, guys. My cynicism today is off the charts, but irritated about this whole thing.
Yeah, Rudy had to. He spent all that time trying to just play a snap at Notre Dame when he could have started for SMU this year.
That's right. Let me ask you a question. Who's your favorite former Notre Dame player? Is it the Gipper, Ronald Reagan, or Rudy?
Got to be Ronald Reagan.
That's right. Well, do it for the Gipper. All right. Final thoughts before I get us out of here. There's something to be said for winning games. There's something to be said for that. SMU, they are good teams, but it's just a completely different playing field, and the obstacles they had to overcome this year are nowhere near what these SEC schools had to overcome. And so while we got nobody to blame but ourselves,
it is frustrating to watch the selection process and just the lack of competition that it takes to get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well said. Well said. I'm not going to use the language that I want to use thinking about this, but I will tell you this, guys, we appreciate you being here. MyBookie.ag, use the promo code next round, 300% deposit bonus for the casino and 50 free spins using the code next rounds. Now that we don't have to worry about watching football, we'll find something else to do to occupy our time. And that's mybookie.ag. So check them out. Now, it really is. That's a great deal. It's the best deal that they've given us. It's the best one that they're going to give us all year. Also, like, subscribe, thumbs up to the Cover Crimson YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys being here and getting the comments, comment, and all that kind of stuff. And covercrimson.com. Clint's on there. Stacy's on there. I'll be on there. We're kind of keeping in track of what's going on with the transfer portal, the recruiting class that Alabama ended up being second in. So all of that stuff there. All right. For Jay Coker, I'm Mick Gillispie. Roll Tide, everybody.